So it seems we should all get hyped for iOS 19 this year because it could be the biggest redesign to iOS since iOS 7. And I know everyone says that every year, but it generally does seem this year could include a massive overhaul to the look of iOS. Because we have 3 separate sources all corroborating on the idea we could see a VisionOS inspired redesign for iOS. Last year the verifier had first mentioned this, but they claimed it would come to iOS 18, which was wrong of course. But then John Prosser highlighted in a recent video the camera app was going to get a redesign inspired by VisionOS with translucent elements, and that we would see this throughout the OS as well. And now we have Mr. Gurman chiming in, also excitingly suggesting the same. He says, and I quote, "The design is loosely based on the Vision Pro software," and has also said Apple's goal is to make Apple's various software platforms more consistent in design. And so these design changes will apply to both iPadOS and macOS. That's good because it was certainly weird the Big Sur redesign macOS got in 2020 never came to the iPhone or the iPads, so I'm hoping all platforms are based on VisionOS and we have the same general look across all devices. The biggest question on my mind though that no one's answered yet is, are we gonna see circular icons or not? This is one of the elements that sets VisionOS apart, and while if they want design consistency, they should bring this over to iOS as well. Or maybe here's a crazy idea, Apple: give consumers a choice to decide which shape the icon should be. Wow! I mean, Apple is slowly letting consumers customize the user interface more and more each year, so it would be nice if you could choose between circle and squircle icons, but I guess the aim is for design consistency. Everyone might be forced to live with circular icons, but I don't mind having new icons. But it's not just new icons, I don't want to undermine how radical of a change this could be to iOS. In Kerman's words, Apple plans to update the style of icons, menus, apps, windows, system buttons, and the company is going to simplify the way users navigate and control their devices. The changes go well beyond a new design language and aesthetic tweaks, and so yeah, whilst Gurman is not giving us any specific details, this certainly sounds like a massive refresh and is very exciting. You know what would be exciting for me though? If you click that subscribe button, of course. It's free and it'll bring you the latest about Apple right to the subscription box, so please consider it. It would be appreciated. Join the Saranbyte gang now. Anyway, I know some may argue that we don't need a redesign to iOS, we just need stability. In fact, I have a feeling Apple's giving us this major overhaul to iOS to distract us from the fact Apple Intelligent Siri features have been delayed. And honestly, it's a good distraction because whilst AI features in iOS may eventually get useful, they certainly aren't now and are not a must-have feature, whereas design changes to the UI is something you would appreciate every single day. My only concern is bugs. I'm really hoping it's not too buggy, but if Apple's changing so much with iOS 19, you just know the first few builds are gonna be rough. Hopefully once the public builds are out though, we have a stable experience, and to be fair, iOS 18 has been mostly good stability wise for me, and I hope iOS 19 continues to be reliable when the final build releases in September. And now let's talk about the brand new phones that are going to run iOS 19 out of the box, which are the iPhone 17s. So we recently got new models from YouTuber iDevice Hub showing us the new camera modules on the Pro phones, and it's certainly an interesting look. Leakers have been going back and forth on the camera module we could see with iPhone 17 Pro. For those unaware, initially we were expecting a horizontal layout similar to Pixel devices, which would make this iPhone stand out compared to every other iPhone since the 11 Pro, which has had the same stove design layout. However, there is a reason Apple's firmly stuck to this design, and it's not because they're lazy, it's because the lenses are at equal distance from each other, which allows for seamless switching between the lenses, but also the positioning of the camera now helps the iPhone record spatial video. And so moving the lenses around could break these key aspects of the camera experience, hence why other leakers have now been suggesting the stove designs are going to stay, but Apple is going to incorporate a part glass, part aluminium back cover. And that's what we see in these new models. There's the familiar triple lens layout, but the LiDAR scanner, mic and flash have moved to the right sides, and we have this aluminium panel at the top, and there's going to be a two-tone finish apparently. I guess Apple using a mix of aluminium and glass will make this iPhone kind of similar to the iPhone 5 in this aspect. Now, as much as I do like that Apple's changing things up on the back of the device, this also is still pretty bland and reminds me of Poco phones if anything. But to be honest, I think we have to see the real deal first before we can properly judge this. It's not just models we have, by the way, we also have case mockups where we can see this design in more realistic renders. And yeah, I need to let this design grow on me because I vividly remember hating on the iPhone 11 Pro renders, and then we saw the final product and I was like, oh, actually this doesn't look too bad. And so the same can happen with iPhone 17. There are very nice renders based on these models on Twitter, so I know for sure I will eventually like this design. Now, some of you might be a little confused. I keep saying the iPhone 17 Pro is going to have a part aluminium, part glass design, because you're probably thinking to yourself, wait up, weren't the Pro phones using titanium? Well, apparently Apple's scrapping that and they're switching back to aluminium. And you may be thinking, why? Well, I think a big reason could be color choices. We all know that color choices on the Pro phones are pretty plain compared to the regular devices, and it's partly because of titanium. The titanium chassis is very hard to color in bright shades, and so maybe Apple's switching to aluminium just so they can give us fun, bright shades of colors on the Pro phones for once. Especially since nowadays phones aren't functionally very different. If Apple gives Pro consumers bright shades of red, green, or blue for once, that could get many to upgrade. Now, moving to the regular models, the regular 17 isn't anything special, looking near identical to the iPhone 16, but the Air does have a new camera module with a horizontal bar at the top that houses the single lens, alongside a mic and flash. The device is also going to be slightly smaller than the Pro Max at 6.6 inches, with the thickness of the device including the camera module being 5.64mm. That's crazy thin. The 17 Air is also going to be one of the first iPhones to use a higher density battery. Now, it makes sense to use this technology with a device that's naturally going to have space constraints. A high density battery allows a lot of energy to be stored within a small physical space, and so basically Apple could pack a 4000 mAh battery in this despite the physical size of the battery being quite small. This, combined with the fact we should see the very efficient C1, means that battery life should still be solid on the Air, which is good to see because undoubtedly many would have been concerned with the battery life on this because it's so thin, but that's something you should not worry about. It seems battery life should still be solid regardless of its design. And it's not just the Air getting a larger battery, the Pro Max also is getting a battery boost. Leaker Ice Universe mentions the device is getting even thicker, with it now being 8.25mm in thickness, which is a 0.475mm increase due to a larger battery. Now, I do wonder if it's only the Air using the higher density tech, or if the complete range is getting this upgrade. I'm guessing the Air's only getting this for now because it is new technology that might be more expensive to build, and since there are no space constraints with the Pro Max, they can just pack in a humongous regular lithium-ion battery in this. Though honestly, I'm waiting for the day we get a 5000 mAh iPhone, because imagine the battery gains with that. It would be nice to see a Pro Max that actually matches the battery capacity of Android flagships. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching.